Good morning, everyone, and happy International Women in Engineering Day. Hope you're all enjoying the day so far, and I'm so happy you are joining me today. So let me just start by sharing my screen, and I'll go through a little bit about myself and what I do, and yeah, all those fun things. If you have any questions at any point, please, as Vanessa said, use the chat function, and yeah, let me know if you can see my screen now. You should be able to see my screen now. Is that coming through?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah, please do let me know if I miss anything or if if there are any questions in the chat box because I won't be able to see those. But yeah, hi everyone. I'm Harshini Jogia. And a little bit about myself. So I'm from Leicester, in the East Midlands. And I studied mechanical engineering at Birmingham City University back I started in 2015. I graduated in 2019 with a first class honors in mechanical engineering. So a very nice, proud moment for myself and my family. So there's me on my graduation day looking very cheerful. So a bit about myself and my hobbies and interests. So I really, from a young age, have had an interest in astronomy, as I'm sure you might do as well. I think as kids, as like when you're young, you have this fascination with the whole idea about space, the planets, and space exploration, and it seems very cool. So I've also had that when I was a child, and a few years ago, I got a telescope from my partner and I actually had a chance to witness the super blood moon last year using my telescope, and also the Mars opposition that happened back in 2020 using my telescope. There's a bit of a line there on that picture. I think it's due to the light pollution around. So one of the goals one day is to go stargazing and in like a nice appropriate place where there's no light pollution and actually witness it properly. Um, so reading, I haven't read in a while, but I do love reading. I do love fiction books. I did start reading some life coaching books as well, but I really enjoy my fiction books, so I'd really love to go back into it. I think it's just a great, um, it's just so amazing to read as well and learn different things. Music. So since I was young, I've been interested in music. I do sing now and then as well. But I also play an Indian accordion, which is a harmonium, which is basically a piano but with a pump. So that's really interesting, but I'm not very good at it. But yeah, still good. Back in 2020, I took on a meditation course during the pandemic, and it was really, really amazing to get into. I think mindfulness, meditation, and just taking a step back from everything that's going around you. It's so important and really good for your health as well. And I feel like I'm in a much better place when I have meditated, and I have continued to do so since then. I try to do it every day. I did miss yesterday, but I did do it today, so I'm proud of myself for that. Um, and traveling is just a key to me. I think it's so important to go and explore, even if it's just locally, just going out there, seeing what's around, and just um, yeah, I just find it fascinating and just really fills me with joy. So I really want to do that more often as I can, especially with this weather. It's just always nice to just go out and go on walks and just see where the path takes you. So when I was your age, what did I like? As I said, I loved science. When I was your age, I was super interested in space and the source of energy, and from a young age just wanted to know more about like the renewables that we have and energy as well, and as I said, space. And I mentioned earlier that I've had this fascination with space for a long time, and there's me getting my telescope just 2 years ago, and you can just see the excitement on my face. So it was like a dream come true for me. So I'm so glad I've got a telescope now. So sorry, not the most fascinating, most flattering picture, but it shows my excitement with the whole space and astronomy. But let's quickly get rid of that picture. And mathematics. When I was 11, I hated maths. I think in primary school, I used to struggle with it. I was just not good at it at all. But as I grew up, I knew that I needed maths in my life because I didn't know what I wanted to be, and maths was a great way of was like a good to have subject, and I think it was crucial in many different career aspects I was looking into. I would be looking into. I knew because I wasn't very creative, so I knew I was going to go into some of the. I didn't know what I was going to go into, but I hated maths, which was a problem because I knew I needed it in life. But as I actually focused on it more and actually started loving it by the age of 14, like I went from a hated relationship with maths at age 11, and by age 14 I loved maths. I just found working out equations, getting from problem what solving a problem to get from point A to point B, and that whole process was so therapeutic for myself, and it was just so much fun because it was like problem solving and you actually trying to figure out what's going on and how to get from one answer, one point to the other point. And I found it really stimulating and I loved it at that age. And it actually helped me to just make maths like an easy subject to choose during my A levels as well. So yeah, I did carry on with maths and I did love it. So that was a good thing. Music, as I said, I loved it since I was a young age. I used to love singing, then I stopped for a while, and then I started singing now as well. But the only difference is that I wasn't good then, but I'm not good now, but I do it anyways because I enjoy it, and that's the main thing. So what do I do? So what does Caterpillar do? So yeah, I work at Caterpillar, mainly known as Perkins Engines as well, limited in Peterborough, which is now owned by Caterpillar. Does anybody know what we make at Caterpillar? And being in the chat function, or yeah, I'll just give you a few 30 seconds to think maybe about what you think we make at Caterpillar.
So in the chat, we've got diggers and engines.
Oh, very good answers. Everyone knows what they're talking about here.
Dozers.
Oh, very good. Wow, you know what we do then. So yeah, that's exactly right. So within Perkins itself, we make diesel engines. So we design these engines, we build the engines, and we test the engines. And our engines are then used to power the big machines like the excavator. So spot on there. That's exactly what we do. So what other machines we might be using as well? So we've got the crop sprayers. We're involved in the agriculture market as well. So we've got big machines to make all these jobs easier to just spray the crops. We've got the big bulldozer, which is basically used to like push materials around rubble, anything like soil, any material. So that's a big hefty machine. We've got the backhoe loader, which is mainly used for like light transport. It's got a little bucket at the back as well, which is why it's called a backhoe loader. And the good old excavators, which comes with a bucket and it's good to use for like material transportation, digging as well. So all these amazing machines that our engines go into. So yeah, you must have seen these machines around wherever you're just driving past a construction site or anything. We're definitely there. So now to the bigger question, what is engineering? Does anybody know what engineering is? Like it's a word that's used so commonly, but does anybody know what it is? Again, I'll give you a few seconds to think, and Vanessa will kindly tell me what answers you come up with.
Okay, so we've got the creation of something,
Oh, okay, nice.
making things mechanically,
Mm,
designing, creating, and testing.
mm, nice. Good answers. And I think by the answers, you can see that it's not just one thing that engineering is. And I think that's such a good point to get to that. Yeah, engineering is not just one of those things, it's like a combination of so many different things. So that's spot on. Also, a follow-up question now. Do you know the different kind of engineering there is? Different types?
Nope, it's all quiet on chat.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody did mention
We've got
mechanical.
one answer. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we've got mechanical, biological, solar, graphic design, and civil
Oh,
engineer,
mm,
chemical engineering, and mechanical.
wow. Okay. Okay, that's a good variety you guys got there. From a quiet chat to a lot of different answers. So yeah, I think a lot of you hit the nail on the head. So mechanical engineer. So that's what I studied in my degree. And what mechanical engineers do is design and create products. And somebody said that in the chat, so spot on. Design and create products like engines, ships, bridges, turbines, and vehicles. So anything that you see around you, there was a mechanical engineer involved at some point in time, whether it was designing, whether it was building. There was all sort of mechanical engineering stuff going on with all the products. That's one of our engines. So there we go, mechanical engineering. Civil engineer. So civil engineers design and create products like bridges, tunnel roads, airports, tube system, and water system supplies. So civil, again, it's design and creating a product, but it's more for like the buildings we see outside, structures we see. And there's a civil engineer involved in all those bigger constructions. There we go, a bridge. Electrical engineer. So electrical engineers design and create devices that use or produce electricity, from small objects like microchips, light, and computers to large-scale projects like satellites and power station generations. Electric engineers, again, electric engineering also comes hand in hand with mechanical, not within our engines, we have electric systems. So it's everything's just comes hand in hand with engineering. It's not completely like one area and then the other area doesn't blend in. There is aspects of every type of engineering involved. Chemical engineer. They design and create chemicals, fuels, foods, and medicine. So chemical engineers usually come in when we're looking at fuel, energy, and all that stuff. And it's a bit of like mostly engineering is physics and maths, but chemical engineering has a lot of aspects of chemistry involved and understanding of chemistry. So yeah, very, very diverse area. And yes, somebody mentioned biomedical engineer as well. And I find this subject really, really cool because you get to biomedical engineers, they design, create products that improve human health and healthcare, like artificial internal organs, prosthetics, and medical machines. This is a perfect example of how engineering actually bridges with other sciences like medicine, and how important engineering is to that profession as well. So it's a really nice area to be in engineering generally as well. So amazing work. So now you know what engineering is and the different type of engineers. Different types of engineering. What is an engineer? Is my next question. What is an engineer?
Okay, so we have an answer. Someone that creates new things using their brain and imagination, makes mechanical things work, designs, or rework old ideas.
Oh, wow. Nice. Rework old ideas. That's a really good answer, actually. Yeah. So, what is an engineer? An engineer is someone who makes an idea into something real. So you spot on again. I really found, really loved how you said use your brain to make something. That's really true. And there's a lot of creative aspect as well as there's a very technical aspect to engineering. And when both of them come together, it's engineering idea and you're actually implementing an idea. That's exactly what engineering is. So yeah, very interesting field. Do you know what skills we need as engineers?
So we have some answers. We've got maths, creativity, imagination,
Hmm.
science, good with hands, problem
Mhm.
solving, maths, science, resilience,
Wow.
coding, maths and science, communication, teamwork, and hand skills.
Wow, that's amazing. I think you've got more than I've actually got on my slide. So I've just got math, science, design, art, and practical on my slide, but you all went one step further and you spoke about coding, which goes within electrical engineer, creativity, and thinking outside the box is so important in engineering because you have an issue and you just see, okay, how do we solve this issue? And is there another way that we can solve this issue? And that's when your creative thinking comes in. Um, Maths again, it's maths and science go hand in hand within engineering, and you'll use it at different moments in time. My personal work is not very maths heavy at the moment, but it's needed. Like the foundations there. Design, yeah, exactly. Being hands-on as well. For creating something, especially when you're designing something using a tool or something, a software, then you really need to think outside the box and you're deciding like, is this practical or not? So amazing answers, really good. Have you all chosen about the career you want to go in? Why don't you discuss what you want to be when you grow up? You don't need to know right now, or if you don't, that's fine. But yeah, I'd be quite interested in knowing what your career aspirations are like.
While they're thinking of their answers,
Yeah.
if I throw that back to you, when you were
Yeah.
their age, when you were 14, did you know what career you wanted to go into?
I was just gonna go through that after they answered, but yeah, I
Oh,
can go
okay.
through that now. I can go through that now. I was so when I was their age, I didn't know what I wanted to be at all. Even actually at the age of going to college when I was 17 years old, and I had to decide soon what I want to be. I didn't know, and but I had a few subjects that I liked. As I said, as I mentioned earlier, like at the age of 11, I hated maths, but I knew I needed it in some sort of in my life. But at that point, I didn't know what I wanted to be at all. But I always saw myself going into like a technical role because I loved problem solving. I was quite curious as a young age. I always asked why, what I want to do, why I want to do it. Oh, sorry about that. That's the doorbell. Yeah, and everything like that. So I was
A
just so
few
curious.
answers. We've got a few
Yeah.
answers in chat now. So we've got makeup artist, we've got
Oh,
accountant, actor, a game developer,
wow.
a lawyer, social
Wow.
work, investor. We've got some wannabe doctors, a technician for the RAF,
Wow.
a teacher, an architect, an accountant, a biologist. We've got a marine biologist. We've got someone who wants to be an engineer, somebody that
Wow.
wants to be an equine vet, a paramedic, a farmer, and a bricklayer. So very, very varied answers there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love how you all specifically know what you want to be, and that's amazing. You knowing what you want to be at this age, it's always good because you can actually pave your path towards that goal. Um, I know there's one engineer there, and that's okay. Um, and it's always good to know that there are people thinking about engineering as a career as well. But if you love maths, if you love science, then engineering is always open for you. And if you love being creative, that's another option. Like engineering is for everyone, and you don't need to be a specific one. But that's so great. I love the different careers there, bricklayer, makeup artist. I do need a makeup artist for my wedding next year, so I might just contact you because I'm struggling to find someone. But yeah, it's great to hear that. But yeah, as I said, from personally, I didn't know if I wanted to be an engineer. I wasn't sure if I was good at it. Mainly that was it. But I pursued maths and physics at A levels, which was really difficult at that age, but at that point. But I really at that point I knew that okay, I think engineering as a career it's a career for me because it's so diverse as a subject, engineering as a career. I can go from designing engines right now, testing engines, to working on planes, to even go into biomedical and help design prosthetics in the future. And I can just go from there's no stop in the career progression. You can actually go into anything you want to. And I think helping people personally, that was the main thing for me, that my career would be able to serve others in a positive manner. Whereas that's by building good engines, whether that's by creating bridges for people, or whether that's being directly helpful to somebody by providing them with a prosthetic arm or something. So I think that was my main ambition after that. I wanted to help people by doing my work. So yeah, that's how I got into engineering. So a little bit about my job. I am a validation engineer, and my job title is quite fancy, senior associate engineer. But I just recently graduated off the graduate scheme. So I was on the graduate scheme for 2 years, from 2019 till last year. And then late last year, I got off the grad scheme and I chose the role that I wanted to go into after. So I know it sounds a bit, oh, what is validation engineer? And I want to ask you what you think my role involves. So what do I do? So over to you again.
Okay, so we have a few answers. So we've got prove things and test things to
Um,
see if they work and if they work safely.
hmm, it's a really good answer. Again, you guys are so smart, honestly. That's exactly what I do. And what I do is we have software that goes into our engine which tells the engine what to do. And my job is to test those softwares to see that they are doing what they're meant to. They're not breaking things more. They're not breaking other things that we already sorted out in before the other softwares. And I check the data that the software is giving out to make sure that it's correct and we're not seeing anything crazy or anything that's not meant to be there. And if we do, which we do, it's to find out what's causing it to fail or what's causing the error to occur. And then that's when all the problem solving part comes in, where you talk to people who might know about that error, where it's coming from, and working with others to solve this problem that we're having. So it's all about testing, checking, finding errors, solving the errors to make sure that we're not giving customers faulty software with the engines. So Yeah, exactly how you said it, testing, making sure that it's all working properly. And the other side of my team is basically looking at the emissions that the engines produce. So we're looking at the climate, making sure that our engines aren't producing harmful emissions, and making sure that they are way below the limit that we need to be at, to make sure that we're looking after the planet as we create these engines as well. So what skills do I use to do my job? So I use there's a whole variety of different skills that are developed whilst working as well. So problem solving, like I said, from going from one problem issue and solving that and figuring out the issue. Sometimes finding the issue is like the biggest thing that you can do as well, because it's better to find it now at this stage when you're working, and then you can actually work to solve the problem as well. Physics and maths. Physics is not directly used where I work, but knowing physics is very important because you get to understand how the engine system works, how the internal combustion engine works, and how chemical energy in terms of fuel is turned into mechanical energy to actually run the pistons on the engines. So that's all knowledge that is good to have because it helps you understand your job as well. Being analytical, a lot of my job is analyzing data, making sure the data is okay, seeing if there's any issues, and team working skills. Engineering is a team sport. You work with your teams towards a common goal, and within team working, that goes hand in hand with communication skills. So speaking to others who might be experts in that field, who might know more about it, and that's how you actually get closer to solving a problem, is speaking to people who might know a bit more about that specific area, and just making that connection. So where do you think we learn these skills? So all the skills that I've just mentioned there, where do you think I've learned them from, or where do you think you would learn your skills to become wherever whoever you want to become as your future career?
Okay, so we've got one answer: school, college, university, school, workplace, apprenticeship, team
Yeah.
sports, school
Mm.
and university, and life.
Wow. That's good. That's good answers. I love how somebody mentioned sports as well, like a sports team, and that's so important. I never actually thought about that. How just like being part of a sports team can contribute to your communication and team working skills. So yeah, schools is where you first spark that. What subject do you like? What subject are you interested in? And having all the subjects available to you, and then you're just picking which ones you enjoy the most. So that's where the physics and maths come in. You get introduced to that in school. Another one I thought of was family, your home, your personal life. A lot of people who do go into engineering as careers had a very hands-on childhood. So they used to play with Legos. Curious in nature, always want to know how something's working, why something's the way it's meant to be, why is everything like that? And I think those kind of questions at a young age actually make a spark of an engineer, because that's all those questions you want to find out, and that's what makes an engineer, is all these curiosity, all these problem solving, or why isn't this used, and questioning everything that's available to us so that we can actually make room for new ideas and new creativity to flow. So yeah, family life and your childhoods take a big part in that as well. And as somebody said, university. So once I did decide to become an engineer, all of these got a bit more finely tuned in university. So doing team projects together, um, communicating then as well, because you might not even know everyone properly, whoever you're working with. And that's a big part about engineering, is that you do need to work with people that you may not necessarily know so closely, but you need to have that ability, that skill to be able to do your job with those people. So yeah, the really amazing answers again. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. So thank you for listening. And does anybody have any questions? It'd be amazing to answer if you have time.
We'll just give it a few minutes to see if
Sure,
anyone does have any
that's
questions.
fine. Yeah.
So, as it is International Women in Engineering Day, what is it like being a woman in? Is it still quite a male-dominated kind of field, or?
Oh yeah. It is male dominated, but you can see the changes. There are a group of wonderful women within Caterpillar, and all so many in leadership positions. There's so many women that I look up to personally as well, because they're just so inspiring, and they're just so good at their jobs as well. So yeah, it is male dominated, but it is changing, and I personally believe that it's the job at the end of the day. And if you love engineering, if you want to solve problems, if you want to actually go into it, it's a passion, that passion's there, then you're good at your job anyway. So you don't feel like that, because you're actually surrounded by people who have the similar mindset to you. So in my team currently, there are like 2 to 3 girls. So it's still less compared to the bigger team, but it's still amazing to work with each and every one of them, because everyone's just so nice. And but it's changing, it is really changing, because when I started uni there wasn't many girls, but when I finished uni I could see that there are so many more girls coming into engineering. And yeah, just being more curious, and just loving it as well. So it is changing, so hopefully by
There
the
is a few.
time. Yeah.
I was just going to say there is a few questions now popped up
Oh,
in
okay,
chat.
awesome.
So the first one is engineering well paid?
Oh, yes, yeah, yes, it is it's a very respectable job, engineering. And obviously the pay rise happens as you move up in the career ladder, but yeah, it does pay well.
And secondly, do you make robots?
Oh, I wish I did. I don't make robots, and we just currently make engines. But if you are making robots in the future, let me know. I'll be happy to help you and join you in making some robots. But there are like people who are in that kind of field, and it's known as robotics. So if you have time, do check it out. If you just Google robotics, it's basically mechanical engineering plus electrical engineering. And if you put that together, you get robotics, because you're learning about how to move a robot, so with mechanical, with electrical components, so the microchips and everything, electrical engineering. So it's when these two come together, and it's a whole new, I think it's a breakthrough really within the engineering industry. So do really go into it, because I think there's a huge potential in the future for it.
So another question is, what was your hardest challenge?
Oh, hardest challenge at work or at university? Um,
Being an engineer, what is
okay.
the hardest challenge that you've come across so far at
Hardest
work?
hardest challenge at work. Okay, at work. I think it's just when you start, and I think that this is common for everyone. You have this thing called imposter syndrome, where you don't think you're good enough. And personally, I do feel that I'm still overcoming that as well. Like, okay, no, I'm here because I'm meant to be here, because I'm good at my job, and that's why I'm here. So it's always that factor, and especially being a women engineer, you constantly second guess that, okay, am I meant to be here? And like, did they hire me because I'm a woman, or because I'm a good engineer, or how did they hire me? But honestly, I had I had those doubts as well. And I applied for Caterpillar for my industrial placement between university, and I actually didn't get the job then. And I reapplied after I graduation. I got the job then, so I knew that, okay, this maybe I wasn't ready for it then, and they didn't take me in, but I was ready for it. when I was ready for it. So it
That's
was
a
nice.
really great example of to just
Yeah,
try again. Don't just accept the
exactly.
first no, like go away, do a little bit more work and then try again.
Oh yeah,
So
and
there's
yeah,
just two other questions in chat, just really quickly before we come to an end.
sure.
So, how long was your training, and was there ever a point that you felt like you weren't going to make it?
Oh, that's a good question. So my training was like 2 years. So I was in the graduate scheme. So it was like a 6 month, 6 month placement. So I had a chance to experience 4 different roles within my training and my graduate scheme before I chose what role I want to go into. And it was at times I used to second guess myself as well because if I, especially if I had to work hands on with machines and equipment and setting up those equipment, I used to find that really challenging because if I was to put on my own, I used to be like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing. So I think that was the biggest challenge was to actually just be yourself and just be so open to whoever you're working with, your mentor or your supervisor, and just to be like, I need a bit more support on this, or I'm not really sure why I'm doing this, or I don't understand how to do this, and just being so open. I think that was the biggest challenge, to be able to just say I don't know. And it's okay not to know because you're new at this field, you're new at this career, you're not expected to know everything, and that's why you're training. So especially when you're on the scheme and if you're going through any training, I really encourage you to just be honest with yourself and be honest with whoever you're working with, just to say like if you don't get something, because there's no point of just not understanding what you're doing. Because the biggest the when you feel the best at your job is when you understand what you're doing, and that's only you can only understand what you're doing when you ask questions. So ask questions.
Oh, that's a really great answer. Thank you ever so much, Harshini. It's been really great. And thank you ever
Oh,
so much to the schools that joined us today. What
thank
I'm going to
you.
do now is I will stop the recording.